The film Revolver not only directly tells us about internal development, it also gives instructions in a hidden form to reach a new level. To understand it, we need to find a correspondence between the structure of the actors and the structure of our personality. The characters of the movie Revolver make up a single integral system. The head of the system is Sam Gold. He sets the rules and manages all the resources. Everyone who logs into the Gold system obeys its rules. We will learn two important details from the film. Firstly, Sam Gold doesn't exist. Secondly, Sam Gold is present inside the system as the inner voice of its participants. That is, without actually being inside the system, Gold acts as a kind of voice in it. Macca and Lord John, two rivals who divide the existing resources within the system between themselves and compel all subordinates in the system to play by its rules. Jake Green. He is also one of the elements of the Gold system and gets its resources mainly from the Macca and possibly from Lord John. Evie and Zach. They are not part of the Gold system, so they can get unlimited access to its resources and remain unnoticed. And finally, those who can be called ordinary people. These are those who produce resources, as well as children and the elderly who, for obvious reasons, cannot produce anything, but only consume. The Gold system is based on the following rules. First, you must acquire as many resources as possible, greed. Second, you are better than others, pride. Third, if something is taken from you, it must be returned, cruelty. Jake Green's goal is to get the maximum amount of resources, money. At first, Green considers Macca to be his main opponent.
He owes me and he owes you. Now he has to pay.
In prison, with the help of Evie and Zach, he finds a universal formula that allows him to drain Macca's monetary resources. However, this formula only increases the efficiency of the game within the Gold system, but does not change the rules of the system itself, which means that Gold wins anyway. Evie and Zach explain to Green that his main rival is Gold.
Do you know who Sam Gold is, Mr. Green?
And only by defeating Gold can you win the game on a global level.
This is his world. He owns it. He controls it.
The only difficulty is that everyone inside the system considers Gold's prescriptions to be their inner voice.
You've heard that voice for so long you believe it to be you. He's all up here, pretending to be you.
That is, in order to get out from under the power of Gold, you need to stop obeying the inner voice. This will give you the opportunity to act freely and not according to the rules of the system. But any attempt to go against the inner voice is accompanied by pain and fear. Therefore, in order to achieve their goal, Evie and Zach block Green's will with the help of a disease and subdue him. Then the practice of inner development begins. To defeat Green's greed, Evie and Zach distribute his resources to ordinary people. To overcome the cruelty, they force him to show mercy.
Mr. Green, shoe Fred for me.
And to overcome his pride, Green humbles himself in front of Macca.
Came to apologize. Forgive me for the things I said, and for cheating you out of your money.
Along the way, Evie and Zach pit Macca and Lord John against each other, stealing their resources and provoking their mutual destruction. As a result, Jake manages to disentangle himself from the voice in his head.
You ain't me.
This last step is accompanied by getting rid of fear and achieving complete freedom. It would be logical to conclude that Green, after winning, took Gold's place and gained control of all resources. And now he will build a new system based on new principles. Now let's answer the main question that may arise after watching the movie.
What's in it for me?
The film Revolver not only tells us directly about internal development, it also gives instructions in a hidden form to reach a new level. To understand it, we need to find a correspondence between the structure of the characters in the film and the structure of our personality. Jake Green. Since Green's character is the main character, he represents the conscious and volitional center of our being. He seeks to control internal resources and expand his sphere of influence. However, in its striving, consciousness is limited by some internal framework that corresponds to Gold's voice. Gold's voice is our beliefs, models of adaptation, life rules that we have adopted for ourselves and which we voluntarily obey because we have decided that they are optimal for our survival. Gold's voice is our psychological attitudes, which we either formulated ourselves, adapting to life, or received them from the outside, from the social environment. But if Gold's voice is an internal attitude that we consider the best for survival, then who is gold? Who benefits from our survival? Who benefits from our living according to the rules we have adopted, which are optimal for our own survival? Generally speaking, it benefits everyone, including ourselves. Therefore, gold does not really exist as a certain entity. Gold is both ourselves and our environment as a self-organizing system. But for simplicity, we can assume that gold is ourselves. More precisely, the part inside us that shapes and fixes our behavior patterns. This part of us strives for peace, stability, and security. She considers the life experience she has gained to be the only right one and rejects any other options, forcing us to act according to a certain life scenario inside our comfort zone.
This is because you want people to know how good, attractive, generous, funny, wild, and clever.
But there is another part of us that wants to grow and change. It is personified by Avi and Zach. Avi and Zach represent our inner principle of development. In the film, they are shown as a unity of opposites, thin and fat, stylish and careless. This principle of development directs our will to go new ways, forces us to break old rules and establish new ones. If we do not want to develop, we do not want to overestimate our views, we act not on an inner impulse, but on external prescriptions, then sooner or later this suppressed part of our being can violate our conscious intentions.
Excuse me.
Hey, buddy, we're coming through here.
Relax. You're in trouble, Mr. Green. We can help.
In the film, the appearance of Avi and Zach causes Green's illness. And this is a very truthful episode. Surely it has happened to you that when you directed your will to achieve some goal, you suddenly fell ill at the most inopportune moment. Another example, Sorter, who did not know failures, suddenly misses.
I don't know what happened. Something went wrong. I had him in my sights.
This is also the intervention of Avi and Zach. This is how the unconscious intervenes in our lives and does not allow us to go against our inner essence. By blocking our actions through illness, fainting, or otherwise, the unconscious part of our being forces us to reconsider the principles and rules by which we live and start acting differently. Dorothy Maca and Lord John. This is the shadow part of our personality, those mental complexes that take away our vital energy, internal resources, and which force us to act according to a given scenario over and over again. These are images of our inner enemies that we usually project onto some real people. These are all things that we consider our opponent, whom we blame for our failures, but who is not really a genuine opponent. Ordinary people are the lowest part of our being, our body, which works for us, extracting resources for us, realizing our desires and plans. It is also our inner child, whose desires are quite primitive and differ little from the desires of our body. The first thing Zach and Avi do is give money to ordinary people. This means that, while developing spiritually, we must also take care of our body and inner child by redirecting them some of our vital resources. Now it is not difficult to formulate a step-by-step instruction, which is contained in the film Revolver and which may help us take a step towards inner liberation and gain new vital resources. Step 1. Determine who you consider your opponent. The enemy is what, in our opinion, prevents us from developing and being happy. Something that absorbs resources and does not allow us to achieve success. Some people think that these are parents, for some it is the state, for others it is a family. Maybe you consider your body or some trait of your character to be the enemy. If you cannot determine who your opponent is, then proceed to the third step. Step 2. Realize that it was you who assigned him the role of an opponent and yourself the role of a victim within the system of rules that you accepted.
If you change the rules on what controls you,
You will change the rules on what you can control.
If you change the roles will also change. It is not he who absorbs your resources, but the part of you that benefits from maintaining the rules of this game. Step 3. Formulate the rules by which you have to act. Each person has their own set of prescriptions.
He owes me and he owes you. Now he has to pay. And I know nothing hurts more than humiliation and a little money loss.
And it's impossible to list everything here. It can be never refuse or vice versa, never agree, be perfect or vice versa, be bad, attract attention to yourself or do not attract attention. Step 4. Start consciously changing your attitudes and actions. If you understand that the rules that you usually follow prevent you from growing, then you need to gradually shake your established patterns of behavior and force yourself to act differently. That's the whole instruction.
How radical are you prepared to be, Mr. Green?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. See you soon.